this is Kitten Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in his student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wayne in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, July 1st? Oh my gosh, July 1st, 2018. You're joined together today by our good friend Ken. How are you doing today, sir?
Good, but confused. I don't hear any background music. I was a little surprised. I didn't know we were live until you said.
Well, so this is I am playing with us not having background music to see how well we come through. Admittedly,
but I didn't hear the intro either. I didn't hear anything, which is why I was surprised.
Yeah, so the intro part I have now caked and built into OBS Studio so that everyone else out there gets to hear it, and we don't. I just get to see the levels bouncing. I do tell it to broadcast back so I can hear it, but it doesn't seem to work today, or it hasn't been working as of late. But it's there. It works. So hopefully to the listener, you guys all heard us talking just fine. Please let me know if that is not the case, as we are always wanting to make sure that you guys are hearing everything that we are saying. So hopefully that sounded and looked really well, because that's what it's doing. Okay, so, but yes, the way it's going right now, I have been trying to optimize things through OBS Studio. And in doing so, I have it cooked in that when I hit intro, it jumps us over to the intro, and it automatically plays the intro, and I just have to watch it bounce the levels all the way down until it's done, at which point I can then switch us over here so that we're talking together and everyone hears us. So hopefully that's working out this time. As well as, I get to start it off now, as I say, thank you for joining us, Ken. I have another one built in that when I turn this one on, you won't hear it either, Ken, and then I try to get it so I can hear it, but it does the intro for Dysfunctional Deviations. That way I can do it within OBS and not have to click back over to Winamp that I have playing the music stuff in the background. And so if I
Nice.
So when I click this here, it'll say it's time for... Oh, did it not come on? So I'm not entirely sure if it actually was visualized, because I hit it, but because I can't see it bouncing as an output, I don't know if it went through. So did Dysfunctional Deviations play for you guys, or not?
Let us know in the chat. Not the IRC, though, because that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, so I can still do the drop-ins and such. So just so you know, I can still go. And the challenge is I just have to tell it to not keep playing. I have to turn off the where it auto-plays, and that's the hard part for this. Winamp is set up to kind of keep playing all the songs. And so I have to tell it, like...
Don't do that, bro.
Yeah, I have to say, somehow... Let's see, where is it? Playback. And how can I tell it to do one track? I don't know. Anyhow, so if I click it here, I can go...
Dysfunctional Deviations.
But then I have to stop it right away. And that way it works.
Okay. Surely there's a way to turn off autoplay. I think you can do that in VLC.
Well, so I have it in Winamp right now because I have a whole playlist of things. So I'm bouncing around with those things. So I can do it one way or the other. But if it's not working in the OBS, which this one it didn't look like it was, I will do it in such that I can still play it through Winamp. So I have a backup. As I said, as I refine and get this working, and boom. So we will have the show go on. So anyhow, time for Dysfunctional Deviations, and going into Ken. How have you been this last week? What have you been doing that hasn't been geeky, sir?
So Ken Features has been away for the past few days. She's been at a festival in the west of Scotland from Thursday, which basically means that I have had the house to myself all weekend, and it's been a strange. It's been strange. I think it's the first time in about maybe like a year, maybe 2 years, where this has happened. Where I'm actually entirely in charge of the house myself. I mean, I leave a lot. I leave for weeks at a time for my own work, but it's very, very rare that I actually have left to my own devices. And so it's been a fun journey. It's been interesting to see. I was kind of curious to see what my psychology would be like behind it. To see how I would act. I was curious if I would. I was curious like how I would be, and like so when I lived by myself in uni, and just after uni, I was a bit of a slob, like I was a teenage dude, it's kind of expected, right? I didn't do much washing, and when I did, it was kind of like all over the place. And the place wasn't unclean. It wasn't tidy,
put away.
right?
Yeah,
there's just stuff everywhere, right? So I was really bad for that. Like when I was in uni originally. And so now that I've been going through married life and getting honed and chiseled down by my wife into practices that are normal and acceptable by human standards. Now that I'm doing that, I was curious to see what would happen now that I'm alone. If I would revert back to my old ways, or if I'd stick with it. It turns out I actually do better. I find that because I know I'm responsible for my own whatever and nobody else's or anything like that, I don't know. I seem to be picking up the slack doubly so. Like if there's a dish in the dishes, I'll do it straight away. I won't be like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow morning, or oh, I'll do it later. It's always straight away now, which is unlike me.
Oh.
So yeah, it's interesting. I really did expect me to be a bit, I don't know, lazier. But no, I've
you thought you'd regress further than you have, that you were
yeah,
surprised that you've actually picked up some good habits?
I'm surprisingly mature about it now. I like to. That's the thing. I've always been very like frugal with how I do my cleaning, because I know that if I clean something straight away, that I'll actually do the stuff. So yeah, it's cool. It's been an interesting experiment, and it's been fun to see. I was also interested in my health. I was wondering if I was going to start eating crap all the time, if I was going to I don't know, just order takeaways every night and get lazy about that and start doing that as well. But no, so far I've been pretty good about it. I've been eating very healthily. I've been making my smoothies every day like I was before. In fact, now I'm making 2 or 3 smoothies a day, to be honest.
Oh, nice.
Which is really good because they're delicious and healthy. Today I had a beautiful ice cream and sorry, not ice cream. Don't know why I said ice cream. My protein. Really my protein. That was a weird link. I don't know why my brain did that. What a weird brain fart. I wish I had ice cream. I had my protein mix, so I got the whey powder protein, the milk stuff, and I mixed that with some coconut milk and some normal milk, and just put it in, mixed it together, and it was just so smooth and delicious. I really enjoyed it, and it was like a meal. So that's cool.
Nice.
So yeah, I've been eating healthy. I've been not been doing too crazy. And the time that I would normally spend with Kitten, either recreationally or driving her about, or like making her coffee in the morning and stuff like that, I suddenly reclaimed all that time, and that's like 3 hours a day or so, and it's noticeable. And so I've not been sure what to do with that time, but I've been pretty chill with it. I've not been doing anything too crazy. I've been pretty rational about how I've spent my time, etc. So I'm quite proud of myself. So other than that, the fact that I found out that I am in fact an adult and act like an adult and by myself, I don't have much more to report, to be honest. Went out on Friday and played mini golf with Graham and a couple of other people, and that was fun. I didn't lose, which was the most important thing. I didn't win, but I didn't lose. So we had this stupid bet where basically we said, whoever loses has to buy everybody else a McFlurry.
Nice.
Because we find otherwise we won't find the game as fun if there's not some kind of bet.
No,
in place.
You guys need some kind of competition. Is really push to see how.
Yeah, and so it was really close towards the end, apart from one guy who was way ahead. So we were all like, oh God, the three of us are all tied here for who's going to have to get the freaking stupid McFlurry. And so thankfully it turned out that we didn't have to go and get the McFlurry because 2 people drew and it wasn't me. So they had to go like split the McFlurry. So they each bought 2, one for themselves and somebody else. And that was good fun.
Nice. No, I definitely agree that it's nice to have a little bit more of the competitive nature in there to make it more fun.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been my week. How about you, sir? What have you been up to?
Oh golly, let's see. What have I been doing? I've been trying to figure out various things that I've been going. I was gonna start off talking with just the. So as I was setting up for the show today and playing with it some more, I realized I went to my own channel for Twitch and I hadn't re-hosted us on that yet, the actual VTW show, and it took me forever to figure out how to do it, because I figured you just go to the channel settings, like host these channels and put them in this order and that kind of thing, and then I couldn't find that setting anywhere. And so it wasn't until I went and what did I have to check? I did a query. I went to Google, how to rehost a channel.
To the Google.
And it had it in there where it says /hosts, the name of the channel. But you have to do it in the chat. And so the problem was then you have to do it in your own chat in Twitch, not one that you're already watching the channels. Because basically what I was looking at is when I was here on the channels watching as I was setting things up, I was like, oh, there should be a button right here or something that says rehost. Something really easy. And I couldn't find one. And so I had to go back to my own dashboard into the chat window there and then type host /host and the name of the VTW Show X. And so I was like, oh, that's how that works. Or at least that's the way I know that it works now. There may be a more eloquent way, but I don't know it. And so that was like my first thing to go. I need lessons from like Copy, Hando, and Tom, all those people in the chat here on Twitch that actually know Twitch and understand the culture. Hando in the pre-show also was schooling me because apparently the Nightbot that we used to manage the chat was too aggressive for the Twitch community by its default settings, and so I had to open up how many emotes and symbols you're allowed to type before it starts giving you gruff. And
yeah, I mean, to be honest, if somebody's really being that bad, we'll notice it and just ban them anyway, right? So,
well, it's more that if we're just doing stuff and people just start spam just to have something in there, so I turned them up. I turned the limits up quite a bit because apparently the community says you can do like, where it's set now is at least like 50 emotes in a line before it's bad.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
I was like, what? But again, I don't know the culture. I don't do the Twitch. So for me, I was like, 50 seems excessive, but apparently not in Twitch culture. And so I have opened it up to there. Before that, I think it was at 30 or 25 or something like that. And Hando got kicked out and was like, what?
Poor Hando.
Well, or at least got the warning.
He did nothing wrong.
As then we have our, top moderator, Copy, going in there to show the limits of what you can do in chat. Copy. Not necessarily in numbers, but in
that's
content.
What the police. That's what the police basically do, right? They just do whatever they can to the bare limit of the law, so that you know exactly what is allowed and what's not.
Yeah, something to that effect. So yeah, Copy. But so I am tuning constantly. So hopefully we will get the channel to a point where everyone else is happy at it. So we'll figure this out. But yes, thank you for the feedback. Thank you for letting me know. So I did figure out a little more Twitch today, and hopefully that works for everybody. Beyond that, what else have I been doing? Celebrations. Today, wishing a happy birthday. Actually, today, I believe, is actual date for La Campette. For those who don't know, El Campo's daughter, you've probably heard of multiple times from Game Fest, things like that, who also hosts and Twitch streams herself. So if you can check that out, she does mostly OS, I believe, Twitch streams. That
she also hangs out in our Discord.
She is in Discord quite a bit, and you'll see some posts both there and on the VTW gaming chat where she'll post some of her, or the Facebook page where she'll post some of her artwork and things like that. So, happy birthday to La Campette. Actually, after the show, that's one of the things I will be doing later this evening, is going to actually go over to a party they're hosting for both her and another friend of theirs to say the happy birthdays. Beyond that, yesterday I went to the Colorado Renaissance Festival, the 42nd annual Renaissance Festival here in Colorado. Yes, Ken?
I'm not sure why, but I've actually liked their page like a couple of years ago, so I knew it was coming up.
Interesting. I am curious why you did that, because I don't believe I've had any photos there or anything else like that.
I think you talked to me before, and I was like, oh, that's cool, and I liked their page, I guess.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, so the Renaissance Festival, which goes on for, I believe it's 8 weeks total here in Colorado during the summer. It's one of the pretty decent ones that's out here, or just that goes on anywhere. I've heard of some really great ones. The one here is pretty legit. They have a whole village set up that's permanent that people come to, and where it's hosted outside of Larkspur here in Colorado. So it's really cool. And, oh, hey, said no, S1K, as he's running out of the house and ready, just stopping in to say hi. Hello, as he's going to leave us next. Although you can stream us on your YouTube or something like that while you're moving about, if you want to listen and continue with the show. Either that or on the Twitch. There are apps for both on your smartphones. You can watch or listen to us that way, even when you're on the go. But, so Renaissance Festival.
Even when you're on the crapper.
Wherever you might be going. Yes. And so, but the Renaissance Festival, really good event. I've always enjoyed it. I don't try to go every single year because it doesn't change a lot every year. But I have realized I've been here in Colorado so long that I've probably gone at least a half or almost a dozen times now, if not a dozen times. And it's always a good time. I try to dress up when I go. I didn't dress up anything fancy, except that I did order a new piece of clothing specifically for the event. Because this weekend, every weekend in Colorado's Renaissance Festival, they have a different theme. This last one was the Celtic Festival, and it's always one where...
I was wondering why I was seeing so many pictures of kilts across my feed.
Exactly. And so with that, I myself picked up a kilt. In fact, I should look to see which brand it was, because I actually quite like it. Let's see. Go to the Amazons, since that's where I ended up getting it. And my last orders. I do like, in a good and bad way, that you can go back through and look at everything you've spent money on, for better or worse. Sometimes I don't know if I want to actually admit how much.
Yeah, it's terrifying to go and do that. You should set up a little script. You should set up a little script to monitor your, so you can see like a little line graph you're spending over a year or something.
I don't know if I want to do that. I'm actually trying very hard to console myself and tell me to stop randomly buying things. Damn Prime and buy it now stuff. Far too easy to spend your money. And I'll put links to these, to everything I talk about in the show notes on the YouTube channel. But I got a Damn Near Kiltum branded kilt. A lot of people are used to hearing like Utilikilt and such like that, and this one wasn't an inexpensive kilt, but it's a heavy cotton one, so it's not wool or anything like that. This is one of these modern kilts. But what I really liked about this brand of one is that it had, and they have several different types depending on what you want. Specifically, this one I got was, I think was it not the Sport Utility? This one was the Highlander, I believe. Official brand.
Okay.
Well, so they each have a little difference on them. Like the Greenhorn First Timer has a pocket kind of on the side and back attached to it. The Sport is a streamlined one with its pocket. The Versatile Pocket design one has a couple pockets where it has the one on the side kind of like a cargo and then actual pockets sewn in like traditional pants at an angle. That you can put. The Smithy has, it's much more durable, thicker denim type. Where the Highlander has pouches on either side versus sewn-in pockets, and the pouches have little clips on them on D-rings and a lot more D-rings attached to it, so you can actually customize and kind of attach other things, which was really nice because I actually attached my sunglasses kit, although I didn't use it, little case and stuff, to one of the D-rings and stuff like that, so it just has the ability to expand it more. I was going to, if I could find a decent one, put a canteen, essentially, or a flask, a holder on the side. And so kind of felt good like that. So being a modern one, it wasn't truly a Sporran or anything, but it kind of functioned as with the two large pouches it had. Held everything. So good. And then they have another one called the Tactical, which not only has kind of the same setup as the Highlander, but and it comes in a camouflage if you want, I guess, but also has a whole bunch of those little...
kilt.
Right? So bad. But they also... And I saw someone in one. I don't know if it was that brand, but I saw a camo kilt when I was there, and I was just... It did catch me off guard. I thought, okay, it's one thing that mine's a plain color, but camo, I mean, that's not, that's not any kind of pattern that should be on a kilt. But the Tactical also comes with like a bunch of the little military kind of webbing connections tied around it, so you can add all those little, pens and clips and stuff throughout it, which I guess is cool, but to me was excessive. So I ended up getting a Highlander. But quite enjoyed it. It was heavy in the sense that kind of like how we were, even though windy and such, no worries from a perspective. And I will say, I didn't go true kilt this time. Kind of wish I had. You
didn't do true Scotsman?
No, I didn't, because I wasn't sure what activities I'd be a part of. And so, I mean, because they have things where you can like ride camels and you can like climb ropes and various things. And I kind of was thinking that, if I decided I wanted to climb the rock wall, being full Scots would probably be semi-illegal. And so...
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's illegal, because imagine if a girl's sitting at a bus stop or something and like crosses her legs and somebody gives her a flash or something. I don't think anybody's gonna. It's pretty normal.
There's a difference between illegal and whether someone's going to report it.
But being a dude is more likely somebody will report it. That's for sure.
Right. So with that in mind, I didn't go full boxers, so I did more briefs to kind of keep it as if a little closer to traditional. But
okay,
I know
you should have worn a thong, man.
I wasn't going to go that far. but it was silly, but I was trying to be at least cognizant of what I was doing in that sense. So, yeah. But got a kilt, quite enjoy it. Like I said, it's the damn near Kilt M men's Highlander utility kilt, and so it's the DNKE collection. Like I said, I'll put a link to that in the notes below, but I quite liked it. Like I said, it wasn't inexpensive, but man, it was comfy. And got here in Prime in 2 days, so I had it just in time for the Ren Fair. Wore that and my pirate shirt that I normally worn and was quite comfortable throughout the day. Also lucked out that normally when I'm down there in Larkspur for the Ren Fair, it's dusty and dirty and such, and usually blazing hot. And since it has been as high as, what did I say before, 40.5 or something like that.
40.5, yeah.
Degrees C here recently, 105 degrees Fahrenheit for those who don't know. I was really concerned, but this happened to be the one day of the week that it was scheduled to be cooler, and it got up to, 80 degrees, I think was how hot it got, was what it was set up to be. And so in that case, that's only, 26.6, I think, so significantly cooler than the last couple days that it's been around here, which was quite nice. And so it was also overcast because it threatened to rain the whole time, but never really did. Like, there were a couple drops, so it was almost the perfect weather day to be at the Ren Fair. Did it where we had multiple groups of people I knew all decided to go the same day, which was really cool. I kind of scheduled myself with one, and so had breakfast with Fork, and I'm trying to think people that they know. There are a couple other in the group, Dark Mauve, some of the ones you may have seen on our Discord and gaming, but not necessarily ones that you'll know from the show. And so a couple of the group and some of the gamers there that showed up with their wives and family and stuff like that, most of which weren't really dressed up in this case, although a few other kilts, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Dark Mauve and Joe both had kilts, and didn't have them at the time. Ended up purchasing some at the fair because once they showed up,
cool. So they were inspired by everybody else there.
Yes, and well, it was one of that. Once you started seeing all the kilts about when you showed up, it was you kind of wanted to be part of that, at least something either truly Renaissance or in the mood of the day. And so a lot more people, I think, started wearing kilts and purchasing them that day. I know another.
Wow, they must have made so much money.
Holy
crap.
I would love to see what they made for this weekend because it's going on today as well. I'd be very curious to see. They and one of the couples in the group had their young child like in stroller with and such, and even got their, I want to say son, little baby or such, a kilt as well to say babies first. And so I think they were doing quite a killing overall for kilts.
Yeah.
Quite well.
Yeah.
So,
kilts are expensive, man. They're really, like, if you get a legit kilt, it's freaking expensive.
Well, like the one I got was basically
even the full ones.
Oh yeah, so the one I got was like $80 and is not like a true kilt, right? And so if you get all the bits, that's the other thing, not just, like the wrap essentially, but all the bits. In fact, at the Ren Fair, so when they did get it, Dark Mauve ended up getting a kilt. It was like a blue pattern kilt and wrapped around over the shoulder and everything. And the largest like wound metal safety pin that you could get, because the actual like nice decorative pins that you put in and slide through and stuff cost like $70 or $80 they were selling for.
Holy crap.
Yeah, well, also fair prices. And so,
well, it's fair prices, and imagine a lot of it's handmade, right?
Likely. I didn't actually go in there to see what else they were making. Copy in the IRC saying, why buy a kilt when you can make your own? Hey, you can't take any piece of fabric, wrap it the right way, and essentially make a kilt. But
why make your own when you could grow your own? Why you need to just buy a bunch of sheep, right? Like, why buy any wool? And
so for
let's go further. Well, why even do that? Let's just get some basic cells, program them to make a sheep.
Stop it, kid.
And
so no, it is a level of how much time or how much resource you want to put towards any project. And resource can be your time, your money, however it is you appropriate it to what you're trying to do. In my case, for getting one that had the proper look and would fit, and I could probably wear more cases than traditional, getting one online that was modern absolutely made sense for me, and it's probably worth every penny I spent for the construction of it. It's actually really nice. I'm really happy with how they made it. Traditional, yep, you could just get something and kind of wrap it around and get it to work. Although we learned, because they got their kilts and spent a decent amount, towards the end of the day or halfway through, there was a kilt contest at one of the stages that we happened to be by down by the.
What the hell is a kilt contest?
So in this one, I don't know who was officially hosting it, but some of the staff there, members of the fair, were all kilted up and watching. They had a couple gals that were representative of the royal court to judge who had the best kilts. And what they did is they brought a bunch of people with kilts up on stage. And then they started disqualifying people based on certain parameters. First ones being, if your kilt had no pleats, get off the stage.
Okay.
And so they moved anyone that didn't have pleats. If you weren't
if your
going,
kilt is camo.
well, so then they went with, if your kilt is not, or if you're not wearing your kilt true Scots, get off the stage.
Understandable.
And then they did and this is what got our friend Dark Mav off, is it said if you weren't wearing like the proper shirts and stuff underneath, because he was wearing it basically bare-chested. It's like if you weren't wearing the proper shirts and kind of flowingness, I forget the name of those shirts too. It starts with an S. Then off the stage, so they got kicked off, and then they were left with like 5 or 6 gentlemen that had pretty nice ones. And if you didn't have a proper sporran, get off the stage. If you didn't, there were a couple other things they did where it's like you had to be very traditionally kilted. And once they did that and they got down to that last bit, they had a contest then with those who were the most to see their worthiness of being a true Scot, in the sense they had a sheep tossing contest. Where,
a real one?
So they had stuffed sheep and a barrel and a hoop that you had to toss them through to get into the hoop, see how many you could. And from how well they did, each of the ladies of the court got to decide who was their favorite representative of the kilts. And so 3 gentlemen were left for that, and then from there the audience got to cheer for who they liked best, and the gentleman who won was an older gentleman who really did wear his kilt well and had just kind of this whole rapscallion kind of like swagger to him of, look at me.
Did you meet many actual Scots there?
I don't know if there were any actual Scots there, but
wow,
it was well, what did I say? I won't say represented. It was well entertained, and people were enthusiastic about it. And I mean, we did have the Celtic band there that was playing bagpipes and drums and stuff like that. And there were a lot of drums everywhere. Other people walking around with bagpipes and various types of instruments. It was really well done and good fun. But yeah, so kilts were definitely a big part of it, and I tried to participate with mine. So had that bit going on. Let's see, beyond that. So that was, what else with the Ren Fair? Because of the True Scots wearing, both Dark Mav and Joe, there is a event or a thing you can participate in, which is a pillow fight, essentially. What happens is they have a pit set up with hay on the ground, and 2 large logs that are set up in there, and contestants go and straddle the log, holding a pillow, and commence beating each other with the pillow until someone falls off. Apparently, I missed the opportunity to observe when both Joe and Dark Mav went about it, but they went. Both had been, I think at the time, Dark Mav was maybe 12 or 15 beers in.
Okay.
He was feeling quite good. And they commenced the attacks, and our friend Hydroxycut was watching, happened to catch them, was slightly ahead as I was looking at, I think, some swords at the time. But they commenced the attack, and apparently one at the same time, hit each other both, and knocked each other off the log, but went full, what's the term? I guess, head over heels or something over tea kettle type, falling off the log. And having been true Scots at that moment, everyone around got to see all the ghibli bits and such. And so,
that's
much
dangerous.
like the concern of the wall, they did it by going, heels over head and kilt up in that sense, and everybody got to see a full show. And so Hydroxygut got to fill me in on what I missed. And so, at the same time as that, it made me not want to climb on that log after them.
Understandably.
So there was that. Other than that, though, we went to several shows. I succeeded in everything I wanted to do in that I saw pretty much all of the people I knew that were going to be at the Ren Fair, and some that I was a little surprised to see. And I was able to first consume, drink in hand upon the first 10 minutes in. And so I started with a couple, I had a few drinks throughout. My goal is to have kind of drinks in hand all day. Mostly succeeded in that.
It's a good goal.
Started off
What
with
drinks was it? Were you drinking mead, whiskey?
So I started off with a Mike's Hard Lemonade just to kind of get a sweet something in my mouth and kind of start light, and then had a couple beers. And on the second beer I had, about halfway through, a gentleman in the party had brought in his own home brew of mead, and he spiked the rest of my beer with mead, and they went surprisingly well together. And in that, it was lovely. And so between those, and I was going to have a pina colada, and I had this beautifully frozen drink that...
Pina colada, it's a very traditional Scottish drink.
Well, again, the fair as a whole, they had nice frozen drinks as well. And it was warm enough that it would have been nice, except that I apparently drank it far too quickly. And in doing so, got actual chest pains from the cold. Like, it was hitting me in a point where I was going to say, I need to fall over, I'm dying. And so in doing so, and sorry about the car outside, everyone, as I have my window open to keep from roasting in here. But yeah, it was physical pain enough that I was like, I don't think I can finish this drink. And so thankfully, Hydroxycut's wife came over to see me shortly thereafter. I had promised her another drink. And so Eleanor Moon got to finish it would have been like her third, I think, pina colada at that point. She was feeling pretty good that day. And so I did not finish that one. But I think that was pretty much all the drinks I had. And it kept nice. But I also had Eats-wise, which is my other big goal. I had a Scotch egg first thing. Then I got a massive turkey leg.
Very good. I love a Scotch egg. Very good.
Love a Scotch egg, yeah. So got a Scotch egg, a massive turkey leg, and I got some dessert. What did I get? I got chocolates of some sort. I want to say I didn't end up with ice cream, although I really should have. But I ended up with some fudge at one point. Oh, I ended up with a candied apple that was ridiculous. It had all kinds of things all over it. So ate, drank, and was merry, and got to observe all the various events at this thing and the shows and such. It was good fun. So I had a good Ren Fair. Who knows? Maybe I'll make it out again this year if time permits for another one.
So what kind of food was available there other than the Scotch egg and stuff?
Oh gosh, well, so they have various types of meat on stick, everything from lamb to beef and things like that, like steak on a stick, things like that. I did have one bite of fried macaroni on a stick, which was yum. There's a bakery.
How Scottish again?
Well, again, it's not just a Scottish event, but they have some things that fit along. Yeah, well, and the whole Renaissance thing, they have a bunch of different types of things. Because they also have things like just a variety of food, like gyros and what other things do they have for food? There's some sandwiches and stuff, some open face, closed face sandwiches, various things. Not quite burger and such, but a variety of things. And drinks, they have everything from wine to beers to. I guess there was at least one area that had mead that I missed. But they also have sodas and pops and things like that, and various sweets and stuff. So it's a good variety throughout. They have the people who are also walking through with carts that are selling things like kettle corn, and some of the famous ones are just long, like sausages on a stick, that are ridiculously long. But also,
I wish I was there. Like, not for the long sausages specifically, but like the food and the everything.
Well, and huge pickles and stuff like that are all pretty famous with that, and so those are all fun. But yeah, so Ren Fair is a good time, and I was very happy to at least get to spend one day there. And it was just kind of a big culmination of a group where I think overall the people I was attached to specifically, there were probably 15 of us or so as a whole, which was a pretty good group, which was nice. But yeah, so that was Ren Fair. And as always, if people have any questions, feel free to email or chat us and let us know what you want to hear more about. But the final thing I wanted to bring up that wasn't necessarily geeky this week, but what had me working in papers on my desk and such of trying to do research, is I'm trying to understand, and I think I might get it, but if I'm getting screwed by my utility company, by my electrical company.
Okay.
I say this because I went back and I had gotten solar installed in my house, 8 months ago now? And was like, yay, and it does all of this, more than enough power to cover me for an entire day, and it should pay for everything and be wonderful. But then I've noted over the last, how many, the entire time I've had it, I wasn't paying attention enough because I was getting these little checks back that said, oh, you got a little credit. Yay, like $5 or something. Okay, cool. So I figured that was back from my overall bill. But then because I had set up an auto pay way back when, I didn't realize I was still paying almost the exact amount that I was paying previously for my electricity.
Apart from the occasional comeback of $5 or something.
Yes, and so I went back and looked,
crap.
And I was like, what's going on? And I think what has happened is that while my system, as I check out what, Tesla, Solar City, what they report is I've been making on average about 40 kilowatt hours per day of electricity. Well, the utility company is telling me that I use about 36 or so kilowatt hours per day, or at least they're charging me this last month for 30. And this last month from the solar, I made 50. And so I'm kind of like, wait a second. If I'm making 50 in my daily usage, it wasn't just like what they reported. I checked based on what the last year's was. And a year prior, it was like 36 kilowatt hours, where this last month for me, this year, was 30. So somehow I'd saved like 6 kilowatt hours. Yay. Or 6, yeah.
Wow, that's
right?
nothing.
It's nothing. And I was like, what about my solar? So I checked with Solar City, and they were like, oh yeah, you produced 50 kilowatt hours last month. And I was like, if it was 50, and normally I used 36, how did I suddenly use 56 or something? Or no, I would have had to been like 80. I would have had to have used 80 to then have the company charge me for 30. And so I don't see that as practical, that I almost tripled my power usage compared to last year's. So looking at that, and I'd seen something previous, I just didn't really follow up on it. I went out and looked at the meter again. It only shows in the last 6 months, and I'm assuming because the meters are always just count-ups, it only shows me having produced back into the grid 11,000... No, was it even 11,000? Yeah, 11,255 kilowatt hours over 8 months. And I make 50,000 a day.
Right.
So what I think has happened is, I think when the utility company installed the meter that they show how much power is going back into the grid, I think they effed that up.
Yeah,
but somehow
clearly.
that connection is not correct, because when I go outside, I see it flash on and off, and so it barely is registering, and so I believe that the electric company has screwed me.
Yeah, it does definitely sound that way. I mean, like, you think that, solar panels are not cheap, and they're kind of an ethical thing to do. The fact that they're fucking you over is doubly bad, really.
Well, it's something that I'm going to contact in. Now, I'm kind of curious because I got to figure out how this is going to work. But it's either they installed it incorrectly, and so I'm not actually getting the power into the system or my house like it's supposed to be. And therefore, it's producing power that's going nowhere. Or they did the meter wrong, and so the meter's not measuring how much electricity is actually being produced. Either way, it's on them. Because
but if Tesla knows
job.
that you're making...
Yes.
If Tesla knows how much you're producing, then it must be getting produced, right?
It is getting produced. It's just a question of, is it going where it's supposed to go? And that's the part I don't really know. And so I'm going to be on the phone with them tomorrow, trying to say, WTF, what's going on? Get a tech out here, fix this stuff. And, oh, by the way, let's talk about the last 8 months. And so
hell yeah.
We'll have to see how that happens.
That's no small bucks, buddy.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that happens and what that means, because that was more than it's more than potentially a little frustrating, because for me, that's on average, if not more than $100 a month extra, I've been paying the utility company that I don't believe I should have. I believe it's more like $150 a month more that I've been paying them. And so I need to see what that means, because WTF.
Just don't even call them. Just send them a small claims fee to local court.
Well, so I did send them a notice in the online setup, since they're closed on weekends. Although Solar City was open, Tesla was willing to take my call and talk to me. So a little bit about that. But yeah, so I will have to try to continue to work this tomorrow. But that was like just a regular, like, real life thing that I did everything I was supposed to do. Everyone else is supposed to touch the boxes. I'm not. And if they did it incorrectly, I'm going to be like, so, how you fixing this? Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, how can you possibly be blamed for it when you've paid other people to set them up,
Absolutely, on both ends. And the nice thing is, because again, on the Solar City side, they're not supposed to touch the box. I had to call the utility company and get them to come do it. And so that was on them. And so if they did that wrong, regardless, that's on them. So we'll see what happens. But anyhow, that's my, other little bit of non-geek that I'm just kind of like grr about. And so with that,
understandably,
I think it's appropriate for us to now switch over and say,
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
I have to catch it before it goes further. I said I will figure this out. So now as we switch over to things that have been geek, Ken, do you have a little more to add on your end this way?
Yeah, I had a bunch of stuff from last week that I can carry on as well.
Perfect.
So the first thing I want to bring up is that there's a bunch of free games out on every month on PlayStation Plus, right?
Oh yeah.
And I picked up, and I wasn't sure if I would enjoy it or not because of history and such of it.
Okay.
But Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is free.
Oh, okay.
And I thought,
yeah.
I'll give that a shot. I'll try that out. And so I installed it, downloaded it, and interesting enough, it's a 63 gig file.
Oh, it's big.
However, it lets you, yeah, it's very big, but it lets you download it in two sections. One, you choose which one goes first, which is pretty neat. So you can say zombies mode or campaign or multiplayer, something like that.
Okay.
And so
they break it into those three pieces essentially. Same thing happens on Steam, on PC, and such, that you can only install part if you want, which is actually quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nice, and it's unusual because this was a big sense. It's the same on Steam, but it's unusual in the world of PlayStation because it's usually so cut off from everything else. So I really expect it to be one big file, and that's that. And Cobby's mentioning there's just a casual dog going past. Yep, I've got my puppies in the uni with me today, so it's nice. So I've been trying that out. I installed it yesterday. And yeah, I played a bit of zombies mode. I've played a bit of everything, to be honest. I played the campaign. I played a bit of the multiplayer. Let's talk about each one. First of all, with the multiplayer, I tried that out last. It's the latest thing I've tried out. Can't say I'm a fan. It just feels a little off. It's too quick to kill people, and yet everybody's running around as if it's not a tactical situation, and that really just annoyed me.
Call of Duty multiplayer is definitely not a tactical type game. It is very much a Twitch FPS, Twitch shooter.
Yeah, it's just quick reaction times, and that's it. And it's half-assed aiming. I could not be bothered with that.
On console they do a lot more auto aim on it.
Yeah, I turned it off actually.
Oh, good.
I turned it off because it was annoying me so much. Because I figured, I turned it off in every mode because, as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to just hold down zoom and then it instantly locks on the target.
Yep.
That's so bad. I don't want that. So I played the multiplayer, I played a bunch of games, and I just didn't particularly enjoy it, and that's fine. Admittedly, I haven't played it with friends or anything, right? That's usually the defining factor. So I've yet to try that. I also played the zombies mode, and I played about 4 or 5 games of that because I do quite enjoy it. However, okay, because I haven't paid anything with the game, I can't actually complain here. However, I would normally be really upset if I'd paid money for this game and I only have one zombies mode unlocked when there's like 40 modes available. There's not really 40. There's like 12 different zombies maps you can use.
Okay.
And they're not unlocked in the game. You need to buy them all. They're all individual DLCs, and they're all between like £7 and £15. So really, to unlock everything in the game, all the DLCs and stuff, you need to spend a crap ton of money. And I don't like that at all. So I don't mind a DLC adding stuff in, but it feels like the original game has really just got one mode for zombies, and that's it. How is it a third? Like, as far as the menu shows it, is single player, multiplayer, and zombies, right? A third of the game. How come a third of the game only has one map, 11 expansions? That just seems a little...
So that has been the Call of Duty model for I don't know how long, and is concerning, right? It's one of those things that I don't even know how they talk it, right? But essentially it's that they release a base game with the base features and this and that, right? And then afterwards they're like, oh, but look at all this extra stuff we've added to the game that just pay us $15 for each one. Or heck, we'll even lower it like $5 if you buy this whole set from a year or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many times I've come up and said that I just really dislike DLC. For me, it's get me an entire game, be done with it, then let's go. If you make a true expansion, make a true expansion. But just extra maps has always bothered me.
I don't mind DLC if it's really, really cheap or whatever, right? And if it's kind of like back in the day, I used to play Halo 3. And I remember they'd come out with a new expansion, it'd be like new DLC, and be £4 or £5 for a map packing. And I used to think, oh, that's a bit crap. That's a bit bad. But you know what? Every time I bought one of those, I'd play the hell out of those maps with all my friends. Like, we knew the ins and outs of every single thing there, and it was so much fun. And you got to do the custom creation mode thing.
Okay.
With every single map, so you could, customize it and make your own thing. And so you could play it across multiple modes, different game types. And I felt that was really worth it for a small price. However, in Black Ops, I'm getting the feeling that it feels like there's 80% of the game I'm missing out on that I need to pay for when it's supposed to be a free game.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how I'd feel if I'd paid for that. I'd feel pretty peeved.
No, I mean, I will forever be against games that focus on DLC as being the way they make money. It's similar to the concept we've talked about before. In fact, when Akko had brought up some of the numbers and stuff about the whales and such, when you have games that allow microtransactions or purchasing of some kind, how there are people out there who have so much money versus time that they will spend large amounts on almost anything they do, and that companies focus those as target audience because they'll make more money on that than the average regular people that barely spend anything. And
not only it
God,
makes
it's
sense,
annoying.
right? I mean, like, as from the company's perspective, it makes perfect sense. But at the same time, I'm one of the consumers, I don't enjoy the experience, and that sucks. I wish there was a way that we could all, I don't know. The fact that whales exist suck. I just wish that people weren't like that. I mean, the thing is, not just with the rich, right? Like, I've read some testimonies, and there's actually a couple documentaries on it, and it's really interesting because you expect them to be super rich people who just like, yeah, I'll drop £300 on this game, no problem.
Right.
But no, it's actually like people who make a average income, say 25,000 in the UK, but they don't have anything else to do. They have no other hobbies. They live in a small flat.
Well,
they have a disposable income, and they enjoy the game. And they're like, yeah, I'll just put it on that, and they don't see a problem with this. They're like, I'm enjoying myself. What's the problem here? And they're right.
They are, because it's the same argument that people make for MMOs all the time. As to why do I need to play any other games if I can get all of my entertainment out of one game, like an MMO, and I can have all this investment in it, where I'm so the opposite, where I want to experience many games versus one. And so I can't stand MMOs because they suck you in and you don't feel like you're getting your money's worth if you're not constantly playing it. So I can see both sides of it, and it's a challenge because companies need to make money. I mean, duh. But it sucks that those of us who actually appreciate lots of games and don't want to invest our entire future in a single game, we get screwed in that sense, right? Yeah. Or I don't know how to say it even better, that, you know, it goes back to like what was said at EA. Was it EA that did it in their E3 one, where they talked about not having DLC in some of their games or something like that coming forward and actually releasing things for free? I'm pretty sure there was at least a couple companies that
I think
did
it was
that.
Battlefield or something, wasn't it?
I thought it was Battlefield 5, which I also have to do a shout out there to our friend Nellie Mae. If you are curious about Battlefield 5, she got into the alpha and is streaming that, and you can check her out. I want to say it's Nellie Mae on Twitch, but if you look her up, and I think we restream her on the VTW Gaming site, so you can also find her on there for actually getting it. But yes, it's one where I started watching it just a little bit yesterday when she got in, but you can start seeing Battlefield 5 there. But they, at least I think, have figured out from the backlash from customers saying, I don't want to constantly be paying for season passes, for DLCs, for all this other nonsense that I may or may not get any value out of. Just let me buy the game, right? And let me play the game. That's such a big deal. So yes, I agree.
By the way, if at any point somebody does try to enter this office, I did check with all my office mates to make sure that they're not going to be in tonight, so I could bring the dogs in. And two of them are in different countries. One of them said he's not coming in, so I should be safe. But
if they do, and you suddenly have to go wrangle dogs from being
I'll be diving over there. Yeah,
that's entertaining. I got you. No, we support you, Ken, if you need to.
Thank you.
What else you got?
So and lastly, I played the single player for the Black Ops 3, and the first I started playing it, and I was like, oh, they weren't wrong. This is suddenly super freaking how do you put it? It's extremely, I don't know, futuristic suddenly, unexpectedly.
Yeah, it's slightly future. It's just ahead of future from where we are today, kind of thing. So slight future tech.
Well, it's fairly future tech. I mean, like, they're replacing their limbs with ones that allow you to run across walls.
How far forward did they go? Like 10, 15 years or 20 years?
2050.
Okay, 2050. Yeah, so it's a ways forward, but it's not like the previous like Battlefield stuff that were like, 200 years forward or something like that. So it is future tech.
I don't mind it. I just wasn't expecting it, right? Like, I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. I mean, I don't give a crap. I'm enjoying it. I think it's fun. I just wasn't expecting. I was expecting a general kind of, a war game that's more like a war movie where the main dude kills like 300 people, right? That's kind of what I was expecting. But instead, it's more like, in fact, can I do a slight spoiler? It's kind of an old game now, isn't it? It must be a couple of years old at least.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. When did it come out? Shoot, it's been a while, so I don't think anyone will be spoiled. If they haven't played Black Ops by now, I think you're okay.
Okay. So it's not as if it's a really big spoiler. It's just at the end of the first mission that you do. You're infiltrating this base. You need to get this civilian who's being tortured by some terrorists out.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
fair
yeah.
enough, right? Easy peasy, simple premise. And you get them away, and you save a couple other people while you're there, and it's all feel good. Yeah, the mission's a huge success. Nobody's dead or whatever. But then you're running towards the helicopter or whatever, the futuristic helicopter, I should say, because it's something else, right?
Yeah,
So
like
the future
hover thing.
helicopter. Yeah, it's still just a freaking helicopter, right? So when you're trying to run towards the future helicopter, they have to take off suddenly due to baddies being near, and you miss jumping on. And then these big robot dudes come over, and they look like they're going to get you, and you're like, oh, I'm going to be taken hostage or whatever. They pick you up and break your arms off. And you're like, what the hell? Like, they literally break your arms off. Now, I thought that was really cool. And then you get prosthetics, and they let you join this super military program where you're like now part robot or whatever, and you get all these cool new features, and it's cool. I like it. I like the premise. I think it's really nice, and I was enjoying playing it. And some of it's a bit gimmicky, like so you like there's loads of different robots around the place now. There's these land robots, there's flying robots, there's like walking robots, robots are like mini tanks, all this sort of stuff. And it's a little bit cheesy, this feature, but basically you can use your cybernetic mind to kind of control these creatures, but only once in a while because it needs to recharge for some reason.
Yeah, it's your super ability kind of thing too. Because can't you like equip different ones? I forget.
Yeah,
but you have like your special thing or whatever, right?
Yeah, so and it's okay. It's kind of interesting. I like the fact you can control them for tactical reasons, like for spying and that kind of thing. That's fun. For reconnaissance, I love that kind of thing. But I'm not too big a fan of the whole like, oh, you can also make one blow up, but only once every 15 seconds. It's like why? It just seems a bit. I don't know. It's just not very fun. It's like, oh, you can kill one person this many times, and that's it. It's just not that fun.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that was my experience with single player, normal difficulty. I then thought to myself, I wonder what it's like on the maximum. I want to try it out. So I opened it up and I put it on maximum difficulty, which was it's called realistic. And I was like, I wonder what this is going to be like.
Oh gosh.
And it really it's as realistic as it can be in this game mode, right? But it's literally like, oh, you got shot, you're dead.
Yeah, it's you looked at them the wrong way, you're dead.
They're pointing at you, and you. So the cool thing with the tank down.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, he's jumping on a desk for some reason. He thinks he's allowed on the desk. That's not allowed.
Oh no.
Sorry, that totally distracted me.
I understand.
It's funny how the little thing that can totally interrupt your track of mind there.
Yes.
So yeah, I tried realistic mode, and I gotta say, I'm really bad at it, right? So one of the displays that you unlock with your tactical magic is it's called tactical display, I think it's called. And basically you can now hear everything that see everything everybody else sees, and that's important.
Okay.
So if there's an enemy behind a wall and somebody else has seen it, it appears on your HUD, so you can see them through that wall. So in realistic mode, you can still have that on, etc. But now you can, and it's actually really important, because if you see them, right, if you see them through the thing looking and pointing at you, and you duck your head out, you die, because they're aiming that way, right? So it makes perfect sense. It's actually quite a good thing. So what I've been doing is I've been playing on realistic mode, and I'll do a little thing, and I'll do a little bit more, and then I'll die, and I'll do a little bit more, and then I'll die. So I'm progressing at a stage of like 0.2% per level, where I'm learning exactly what is supposed to happen each time, based on how I died before. But it's really fun, and I'd really like to play this on like a multiplayer sort of thing, like a co-op, because I feel like it adds a real level of realism to it.
So I would actually love if that were possible as well, because you're playing it essentially how I play it, and kind of I like how Happy Dude's saying like So Outlast is. Oh wait, Outlast is. Oh no, different one. Sorry, but yeah. So playing it basically like I was gonna say Dark Souls in that case, an FPS Dark Souls. But when you set it up that difficult, you die instant kind of thing, and that's how I tend to play COD games. I do that purposefully to artificially extend the gameplay, because whenever I play the actual game modes, I know they're designed to be about 8 hours long on maybe a difficulty of like a hard difficulty. On normal, if I just want to play the game, I think I can knock most of them out in 4 to 6 hours. If I just play it real quick, I can beat the single player in a day easily.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Like a single sit down.
It was on easy mode. You could do it without guns, right? Like, you can just run through
Knife
meleeing
everything.
everybody.
Yeah. And so I do the same thing where I try to put on the most difficult, and it's frustrating when you first start playing because you die so quick, but then you start getting kind of the pacing of the game. And you learn like, okay, when I enter this room now, I'm going to have to kill this guy over here first, that guy there. And it's funny because it becomes more of a pattern than it is like an AI that allows you to dynamically respond to something.
It reminds me a little bit of the guys who do the sort of speed kills, because they're memorizing exactly what's needed each thing, right? And that's kind of what it feels like. You're memorizing exactly what's needed at each stage.
Yeah, I can
see
that. And so, but that is how I tend to play my single player games for Call of Duty, at least. Because they are silly when it comes. I mean, they're fun. They're a roller coaster. I think a good time, but they're also just silly. And so, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's all right.
So I've been thoroughly enjoying it, and I recommend. It's a free game, so if you have PlayStation Plus, I recommend getting it because it's good fun. And add me on PlayStation, and then we can play together.
There you go. Nice. So yeah, no, very cool. And it's interesting to hear you finally get a response in for Call of Duty. It kind of takes me back because I haven't played 3. I played a lot of 2, but 3 was fun as well. Anyhow, so yeah, what else you got?
I have a couple other things, but we should probably go to our break soon. Unless let's do 5 minutes. We'll do 5 minutes. Let's see. I've been playing Fortnite. I don't know if you know that, but I actually play Fortnite.
You have mentioned that before, and so now the question is: do you only play it on console, or have you also been playing it at all on the on your mobile device?
It's not available on the mobile in UK yet.
What?
Nope, not available. US only.
Really?
Oh, I think it's iPhone only as well, actually.
I thought they finally had expanded it because I have played it on an iPhone, and it's interesting. And it's one where I kind of want to find out more from others because I haven't played enough Fortnite because Fortnite still just hasn't registered with me properly. Because I played so much PUBG, that's still my kind of go-to for that kind of game style, for the Battle Royale.
Yeah.
I want to check out more because I've played PUBG Mobile, and I actually do fairly well on it, but I realize at the same time that it's mostly against bots because they do that as a way to ease a person into the experience initially. Until you get to a certain level or experience in PUBG Mobile, at least, they put you mostly against bots that are fairly dumb so that you can have success. Because the first time I did on mobile and I was half paying attention, I got a chicken dinner. The first time I was like, what? And so I did some research. I was like, oh. I don't know if they did the same
against my phone.
Well, right. And I don't know if they did something similar on Fortnite or not. I forget whether that's the case or not. But I know there's some interesting things about who you can play with. Because one of the challenges with Fortnite is Sony doesn't let you play with anybody. Whereas Microsoft and general PC community let you play together. And so there's that. But yeah, interesting. Anyhow, sorry, I was just curious if you'd done any mobile.
That's quite all right. So yeah, I've not really played on mobile at all. I did try PUBG though, and I found it was horrible. I really didn't enjoy it. It just feels like a crappy game.
Interesting.
And I've also tried H1Z1 on PlayStation, which it got recently redone, right? And it's basically just feels like PUBG, weirdly enough. So I still don't enjoy it.
Interesting as well. Huh.
Yeah.
See, that's unfortunate when you kind of hear that because it's you hope that you're going to get a solid game out of any of them. So, and for me, I guess it also kind of depends on where you started. And like I said, I can play better on PUBG than I can on Fortnite right now. Just the way Fortnite plays doesn't register right. Where PUBG, I got that game. And so I need to definitely spend more time before I'd understand how to play Fortnite correctly. And probably, if I could play with my friends like Ken on the console while also being on PC, it'd be wonderful.
Yep.
Sony.
Yep.
Hey there, Sony.
Yep.
So,
it's ridiculous.
so bad. All right, well, we are set up, and I think we can go to a break here since I have the music set up. We're going to listen to one of the tracks from Brad Sucks, because we haven't heard him for a little while, and see if I get everything set correctly here. So, all right, if everybody's ready, we're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this in about, just over 3.5 minutes. But you're listening to ShowX on VTWProductions.com. We look forward to any of your emails. Talk about your geek cred. I saw that we had one pop in that we'll get to after the break. And then, as well as any other topics you'd like us to discuss. So with that, we will be back just after this.
Technology, news, and more. Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. You're listening to ShowX on VTWProductions.com.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show. All right, so as we wait for Ken to get back here, as he had to deal with puppers in the office to make sure they're all good. I saw him, I believe, throwing on shoes or something to run outside real quick with it so he can make sure that... I didn't know, was it just Tank that was in the office, or were both of his pups? I missed seeing or hearing that piece. But as we get in there, I wanted to jump over and make sure to catch your emails. And so coming in, And coming back from break, we've got one from our friend Cupcheck that says Anime Blues Con 8 Recovery Mode. It says, well, another con Sunday, and I'm home in recovery mode. Oh, wait, I hear something. Oh, look at that. Oh, both puppers are there, and there comes a Ken comes sneaking back into the room. So it is he was able to take them out and get back just shortly after. All right, so as we continue in there, it says, Cupcheck comes in and says, well, another con Sunday, I'm home in recovery mode. This year, it wasn't for the recovery of my liver, but it was the amount of walking I did as I hatched 3 separate groups of 10-kilometer eggs between walking Saturday and Sunday. That being, I'm pretty sure, Pokemon Go, which, yikes, so 30 kilometers at least. Unless they were all at once. They said
walking.
3 groups, so yeah. It says, the guests of the con were... Lucy Pohl, who voiced Mercy in Overwatch. She was actually at Denver Comic Con as well, along with the voice actress for Diva, who was there. Let's see, and everyone's favorite main character, Hanzo, voiced by Paul I'm going to never say these right, Nakauchi.
It's fun to hear you try.
Well, thank you. As I recently started playing Mercy, I was super upset that she wanted $40 for a personalized 8x10. So I talked to Lucy for about 20 minutes, then went about it my way. An hour later, I went to talk to Paul and shook his hand and bought a photo and autograph as a fan of the franchise as a whole. And my wallet was being a little light going into day 2 of Con as well. Somehow he overheard me that I don't play Hanzo. So when he signed it, he tagged it with a "From your future main, Hanzo." Nice. Just a little story from the booze-free weekend, and I'll save the interaction with a drag queen in Discord after the show. That coming from Cupcheck. Interesting. But yeah, no, so it's always a challenge. That's one of my problems with all cons, is that the guests that come, they have their means to, there's things they have to do for the convention to be a guest, but there's also things they get to do, like charge for autographs, photos, things like that, which is how they make a lot of the money they get from going to a showing. I am so cheap in comparison to, I think, a lot of people, where even at DCC, where I was really tempted to see like Jason Momoa, and I'm a bit jealous of some of my friends who did, I didn't want to spend the, what was it, $120, $140 or what it was to see him, to get a like individual like picture with him separate, or stand in his line.
Understandable.
Or you can stand in their
Christ,
line
that's
to
a
get
lot
a
of
picture with an autograph, which is like less, again, like $40 to $60, depending on who it is, to get a photo signed. But if you actually want a picture with, so it's just kind of like, oi. Anyone who goes to these anime or fan conventions of any kind, you know what your budget is, because if you do want those kind of interactions, you're going to need a couple $100 of discretionary funds just for it. It's just, I give people a heads up, because the first time they go and they don't know that.
Like, that's a flight and to and from France and maybe a weekend of hotel if you go to the right town. That's what that is. That's
not
insane.
Inexpensive. So yeah, just let you know. Yep, that's a thing. So anyhow, but yeah, let's see beyond that. All right, so that was our email. Thank you very much, Cupcheck. Coming back with our Geek Cred, Ken, did you have anything else that you wanted to mention? I know you said you had quite a few things from last week.
Oh, loads, but I don't want to take up too much time. So just feel free to cut me off whenever I've had enough. Like a good bartender. So I've been playing League of Legends a little bit as well.
Oh, good. I actually have a little bit as well, so this will be fun. We can both talk this step. Yes, tell us about League.
Cool. Yeah, so I don't know. I watched a couple of Fortnite pro players, and I was like, this is. I'm more interested in seeing their techniques than anything, but I'm not really enjoying watching the gameplay. For some reason, I just don't find it as fun. But League of Legends, I really used to enjoy watching esports, and
yes.
That's where the link came in, right? I decided to put on a League of Legends stream instead, and having done that, I was like, okay, I kind of want to play now. So I reinstalled it. And it's been my lunchtime treat is that I play an ARAM or the all random Earth mode.
You know what?
So
yeah, the what is it? ARURF?
ARF. It's what these guys say. ARF.
Ha.
By the way, for anybody who's interested in seeing my puppies, let me just show you them.
Well, we saw them both as you walked them in, but then
that one's KO'd there on the floor.
Nice.
And I believe the other one is as well. Yeah, they're both KO'd.
That's funny.
Walked in 3 miles to get here today, so they're in this heat, so they're very tired. But they gotta walk back too. So yeah, RF is good fun. I've been enjoying it. I played a couple of ranked games and a normal game, and I've also played a couple of ARAMs as well. So I'm really just trying different things out. I'm trying. I love these new dailies that they have. That's really cool. It makes me want to jump on and play a game more.
I can understand that. That's one of those things that I actually am also partial to when I've seen it. I'm kind of like, oh, look at that. It's just
Isn't it weird? Because one of the worst things the World of Warcraft spawned was dailies, and one of the best things that we enjoy about games these days is dailies. Like I love it in Fortnite. I love it in this.
Well, so I will
Just
say
'cause they're
it is fun, and it gives you something to do besides just like playing the game, right? Something to at least edge towards. And I can talk about the same thing that they've done the same thing in Pokemon Go, essentially. But yes, because it gives me something, a little pop-up, right, that I can look at and say, oh, well, if I do this, I get a bonus, whatever it is I'm earning, right? I don't even really follow it enough to say, like, oh, it's that. It's kind of like this thing. And they're currently doing this, the War Favors, and it's God King kind of match thing that goes where you get to pick a side.
Yeah, so I think it's like a lore-based thing, but it's like I don't quite understand it all, to be honest.
Well, it's between Garen and Darius is what they're kind of going into, but it's basically you can unlock their skins, I think, if you play through enough of these modes and some other unique things to the event that they've done. So I'm kind of curious what it takes to do so.
So if you play the dailies, you unlock this other currency, which is like nullifying orbs or some stuff. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, something else I think works towards these.
Yeah, and that's pretty neat because that means that you can unlock skins and stuff without spending any money in the likes. And I like it when they do these kind of nice understanding. You know, I get they have to make money, so I'm not complaining the fact that the skins cost money or anything. But it's nice that they realize that not everybody can do that, and giving them an option to earn it in different ways is really nice.
Yeah, play more, and you can actually earn these things, which is really cool. And you just open up the little missions tab, and it has all these lists of things you can do. Some are they expire after a certain amount of time. Others are kind of there longer, or repeat every whatever, and so you get one each day. But they all give you kind of this reward towards, you know, whatever it is that they're doing. And yeah, it's Aruf is the mode.
Aruf.
Which is random, essentially. It's an all-random mode for Summoner's Rift, for the regular 5-man mode, that you don't get to choose your champ. But it's interesting is if you go to re-roll, it takes the champ that you had and puts it up into a kitty on top that anyone in your team could choose from, which is actually really neat. Like, I like that aspect. So, because I've seen so many times in games where someone has re-rolled a character that I would love to play when I didn't have the opportunity to trade them. I was so mad, and so I haven't checked yet to see if that's actually available in ARAM as well.
It's available in all modes now, including draft mode.
So
I think
good because then
it makes sense if you have 128 people or whatever.
Characters.
It kind of makes sense.
No, so I like that a lot.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Unless you experience more characters as well. So I sat and looked through with Graham actually, because we used to play together back in the day, about what games are which champions do I still recognize, which ones do I not?
Yes.
And there's several champions I do not recognize anymore. In fact, there's 12
of the newest ones that are out. Yeah, there's a few of the new ones that I'm still learning. There's
a point where I'm just I don't even know what they do. I don't know if they're mages. I don't know if they're overpowered. I know nothing about them, which is a little terrifying. So yeah, it's fun to be back in. It's fun to be playing again. I had the one super satisfying thing that I never get with Fortnite the other day, where I played a game with Caitlin, who used to be one of my mains, and I rocked it. I went like 17-4 or something like that, and that's just always satisfying to have one of those games, you know. Because I think it's needed sometimes to I'm not that bad.
I have not had one of those for quite some time, but I think a lot of it's because I don't play enough, and I'm trying to play it on this 4K monitor. And there's something about the way the interface is, as I try to set it up accurately, I lose my mouse far too often. And I've also had a challenge where I get to an edge and click in just a certain way that it pops me out of the game to my other monitor, even though I have it set to full screen mode, so that it shouldn't do that. It still does something with key clicks or whatever that it's popped me out, and I'm like, oh crud, and try to get back in, and it takes long enough to get back in that I have been killed before, almost at the edge of it, where I'm just like, awesome, thank you for my whatever, for interface killing me more than my lack of skill.
First world problems right there. Oh, my fantastic, giant, beautiful 4K monitor is making me die in this one specific game.
It's terrible, I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. So, but yeah, that's one where I was just like, man, that's terrible. So anyhow, but no, that's cool that you've been playing as well, because really the only thing I've been playing is those same modes, is ARAMs. I haven't done any ranked still, and I keep kind of thinking I might want to, but I really need someone to like take me through and show how warding and stuff like that and the flow of the game happens anymore. Then I was like,
It's the same as before. Nothing's really changed, unless you're playing jungle. Then it's a little bit different.
Yeah, jungle I've never been good at. Never.
Yeah, jungle's tough to pick up.
But yeah. So no, it's very cool that you've been playing that one as more. I have as well. So what else have you been doing? And yeah, the dailies and stuff like that has been super cool. So maybe, hey, people look up Ken and play some more League. It's still a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've also been doing that with my dailies in Hearthstone as well. I've been trying those, so it's a useful thing because Hearthstone games are quite quick. They're about 5 minutes or so, and that makes it nice and easy to crack on and have a quick game somewhere if you're sitting in the toilet or whatever. So that's good fun. So yeah, I've been enjoying a variety of games here and there. With Kitten not here, my free time has been reclaimed somewhat, so I can do some of this stuff, which is nice. And also we've had beautiful weather here this past week, so I've been outside a lot more, like an unusual amount for me.
Nice.
Which is nice, yeah.
So it's fun because someone I talked to recently that was at the Ren Fair or such was talking about having gone to Scotland, and we kind of shared some stories.
Oh, cool.
We were talking about climbing steps and stuff, and they said that they had gone to William Wallace Tower, and
felt
like
they've been here.
Almost died walking up it. That it was so many steps that were very tall, kind of thing, and
that's what Tabaxian said. But I don't feel like it's not that bad to climb. It's okay. It's only like a 15-minute climb. It's not hard.
They just said it was kind of tall steps and everything, and when you look
fairly
down
steep.
and people coming both directions on the stairs and stuff, they were like, because we were talking about experiences of climbing heights that are not necessarily fun, or how some of us aren't as good at them as others.
Yeah. To be fair, yeah, the tower is a bit more steep than the actual hill outside it, which I thought is what you're saying. But the actual tower itself is
the tower
harder.
itself,
That's
and that
true.
was one that I chuckled because I was kind of like, "Yep, I've seen it. Haven't been up to it yet. Never climbed it, but I did see it on the hill. Looked really cool."
It's not worth going into, in my opinion.
Oh.
I've never particularly felt it was worth it, and I get in there for free as a Scottish citizen, so
Nice.
I still don't think it's worth it. Oh, sorry, a Sterling citizen, not even Scottish.
You have to be local.
Yeah, you have to be a local, and you have to have proof of address, etc.
Gotcha. But yeah, so anyhow, all right, cool. So League of Legends. What else have you been playing or doing that's been fun with that reclaimed time?
The very last thing let me bring up is that I've still been going through Lord of the Rings audiobooks, and I've been enjoying it. I'm halfway through the second one. However, I should also mention that I stopped that because Kitten and I had a bit of I wouldn't say a fight, but a fair discussion, and I'm actually really glad she called me on this.
Oh.
She pointed out that I listen to a lot of I'm always adverse to saying the male rights or men rights because it's associated with MRAs, which kind of sucks because men rights should not be seen like that. You know, I hate the fact that that's a thing.
Gotcha.
But I do listen to a lot of people who advocate for male rights because I think it's important, and I think that because feminism is so vocalized and you hear it everywhere. From at least in my experience in university and in high school, everywhere I've heard a lot about women's rights, but I've heard very little about men's rights, and so that's why I'd like to talk about it. That being said, she said to me like, "Well, can you name like 5 feminists that are popular in the past 5 years?" And I was like, 5? I don't think I could. And I realized that's bad. I can do it with male rights stuff and not with female rights. And if I claim to be an egalitarian, I should be able to do both. And so I've been making an effort to look into more female rights stuff.
Interesting.
Which I think is a good thing, right? I think a lot of people like go too far one way or another, and or worse, they see this kind of thing and just deny it. And I'm not trying to deny it. I think it is a problem that I've had, and I'm trying to look into it and fix it now.
You're
so that's good.
actively trying to make sure that you cover both sides.
Yeah, exactly. I really do I do care about both sides. Now my problem is it's difficult. Like, okay, same with like breast cancer, right? For me, I think breast cancer is something that sucks, and we should do everything we can to stop it. But it's overfunded compared to other cancers, for example. And so I'm kind of like an underdog fighter in a lot of ways. Like I'll look into stuff. I'll often want to fight for things that are not being fought for otherwise because I don't feel like it's getting enough support. And that's kind of why I tend towards male rights. But Ken did bring up a good point. I need to look into that more, and so I have been. I'm now reading The Handmaid's Tale, which is a sort of commentary on a lot of things to do with the women's rights and the likes. But I thought it was going to be like a non-fiction or I don't know, weird, sadistic, I don't know, bunch of fantasy world that's just completely over the top and ridiculous and just unrealistic and a circle jerk of women's rights or something. And I thought it was going to be unenjoyable. But it is actually a fantasy type thing. But it's in this dystopian future world where it's kind of like our world if we instilled some traditional values more. I don't know. We sort of return to them, but in an extreme sense. So it's like a patriarchy to the extreme, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It's a really interesting world, and I love she's really explaining the sort of like not caste system, but the sort of system of how the hierarchy works in this new world, and it's the different male positions and how being a male means you're almost always better than being female, but in some situations you're not. For example, if you're like a high commander in the army's wife, you get a lot more prestigious rights and stuff, and you get a lot more I don't know, privileges and the like. So you get some more rights than some males, and so on. And it's just a really interesting world. I'm actually really enjoying the story, and I gotta say that it's not making me feel like, oh my god, women have it so hard. It's kind of making me feel like, yeah, women have it really hard in this world, and yeah, it was kind of like that in the past, and so I do sympathize in that sense. But I don't look at this and think, oh, that's what it's like right now. I think some people do take that message, and that's not right. I think it is a good commentary on what it was once like for women, though, and I think that's really a really interesting viewpoint that needs to be, heard. And and it's actually a worthy tale. The only thing I have a problem with is I'm really listening to the audiobook, right?
Okay.
And that's fine. I have no problem with audiobooks, right? And that's not my point here. My point is that while audiobooks are great, you need to have a good speaker. And I don't know who this lady is from Audible who's doing the reading, but she is trying really hard with her job, and that's not a bad thing,
Okay.
But she puts in the kind of effort that seems a bit over the top. Like I distinctly remember one part where they're talking about describing the environment. So the main character is walking down some steps, and she's describing how there's a mirror on her right, and at the bottom of the steps there's an umbrella rack, and there's different colored umbrellas which represent the people in the house, right, and what they do and stuff. And that's cool. Okay, that's fine. But the way she talks about it, she kept like giggling randomly, like, and there's an umbrella stand with a red umbrella and a black umbrella, and it's like, okay, like that kind of, you should speak that way in certain situations where it's important, right? Like if there's something comedic, but talking about umbrellas is not something funny. So why are you laughing during it? It was just a bit off-putting, it was overacting. It felt like listening to I've never actually watched the original Star Trek, but it's not McCoy, is it?
Kirk? Captain Kirk, who's famously...
Captain Kirk, yeah.
Yeah, is famous for that.
It was just overly dramatized to the extreme. That's kind of what it feels like at times. But the actual writing itself is really good. It's just the actual orator that I'm not particularly enjoying so far.
Interesting.
But I recommend it. If anyone wants something a little bit, something cultural that's appropriate, that will let you sympathize with the time that has passed and some of the problems in today's society, this is absolutely the book for you, and I do recommend it so far. I'm only about a third of the way in so far. But it is quite a serious and sad book. Like, don't think you're going to be getting something pleasant out of this.
Interesting.
You won't.
Because no.
Because no.
That's interesting to hear, because this is also the one that is really big. What? There's a series out now, I want to say.
It's a film, I believe.
Or a film? See, I wasn't sure. I thought I saw it like season.
I'm not sure, actually. I've only looked into the book, so.
Yeah, no, I think there's an actual season or like series that's out for it now, but as well as the book and stuff. So, no, that's very interesting. And I've only heard about it, but haven't actually seen anything myself. And so, no, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason it's picked up so much. Like I said, like any book, some people taking it right, some people taking it wrong, but it's really freaking interesting regardless. It's a really cool world. And I think it could be expanded upon and added more to. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this. It's a cool idea.
Very cool. All right. And that you said was like your last thing you wanted to bring up today for your geek cred.
That's everything.
So with that, I will jump onto mine and see what I can get into before we have a little bit of news at the end. So the main thing I wanted to talk about with Geek today was that I have been doing more 3D printing, trying to keep things up, both modeling and printing. On the modeling side, I keep trying to finish some things. I have some projects here that I've been working on. One is a detail piece for an anime character costume for our friend Melon Dreams Cosplay. And it's a set of skulls that are going to be worn on a handkerchief, essentially. And so it's something I modeled myself where looking at the image, I just grabbed some low-resolution skulls that were out there, and then added into the back of it a set of rings. And it was somewhat at her discretion as what she thought would work. I need to clean this up a little bit because it's pretty raw off the print. That'll allow the handkerchief to go through, or essentially the kerchief to go through it, and have it sit just kind of up on her edge there to be able to be worn. So I'm actually quite pleased with this piece. This is actually the second full print I've done with this. One of the things I'm learning as I do my own designing and printing is I go through several prototypes. So it actually ends up costing me far more than what I think I charge. But right now, as I'm still learning, because I'm not putting that cost
Well, that's the thing. If you're learning from it and you're negating some of the purchasing costs, then that's not so bad.
Yes, because I've iterated, because like this piece that I have here is a guard for a sword. Fits right below where you'd hold it below it. Based off a anime, I believe, or game. I have the reference photo here, which is from Grand Blue Fantasy animation. But the soldier character in here, the sword that she has here, is what I've designed all the way in 3D. I'm actually quite happy with the design I've come up with, and finally have gotten it through to the point where I believe it's very printable. Because one thing to make the design and make it look like what it is you're after, it's a whole other thing to make it so it'll print easily. And so that's been part of the challenge. So some of the things I've been doing is refining it. So my next iteration of it, which I printed far too thick and heavy, and so I've gone back. I actually have this printing again right now, but in a lighter form. A copy says Grand Blue, so you know it. But trying to figure out ways to make things fit. And so my first iteration, I had this part here for where I was going to put the sword actual blade into. And the next iteration I've done, I actually made a slot for it to fit into, a hole where the blade will fit within it, as well as putting a hole inside to run a support through. I also was trying to figure out how to get the handle to fit in. And so I made a little notch, and this is a little ugly underneath, but a notch in there that both the top of the handle and the bottom of the guard have a slot that they fit together in. And it actually matches up surprisingly well in there, so I'm really happy with what my designs have been. So in this iterative process, I'm getting better and better, I think, at making these, and getting the prototypes off has also allowed me to better size things, because I was like, oh, this is the right size based on some measurements, and I get it out, and it's like, this is far too small of a handle for a normal person's hand. How did I do that? And I realized that the thickest part of it got measured out to what the average size should be, but then I tapered it. So now I have to go back, and I've resized it accordingly and such. So it's an interesting process. It's very iterative, but that's kind of the beauty of 3D printing, is that you can do quick iterations on your own. I've not done as quick or as successful as I probably could, in that I've printed far too much, and probably I should do it in smaller batches or sizes first to see how it's working. Because also the first attempt at how I was going to connect the underneath piece, now that it's just a slot and fits really well. Prior to that, I had tried to make a screw mechanism that you would actually screw the handle into, but that became too weak as a whole and not big enough, and so it ripped off the inside of my first prototype of it. And so it's just this whole process of going through, but I've been enjoying it, and I think I've been getting much better in the process. And so I keep doing that. I have actually several orders and things I have going. I finished a couple in the past, so I need to get some feedback as to how well those worked, but I've been enjoying that process. The next piece, though, is because I'm kind of trying to step back up my 3D printing. I actually went down and I was able to fix one of my other printers, my old my middle R1. It had gotten it had been bad. A thing where I think the temperature sensor either broke or slid out in some way that it wasn't reading properly. And so it was continuing to get a signal to say to heat. And it got to the point where I think it was going from where I was telling it to be about 205, 210 C at print temperature to I don't know how hot, but I will tell you that things started smoking. And if there were something in the area that could have caught fire, I'm pretty sure it would have. And
yep, that's why it's important to have a very safe setup, right?
And so I saw that and was like, oh no. And so I had disabled it, tried it a few times, and just realized it just kept overheating. And so I pulled it all apart, put a new hot end. Basically, I have a lot of the components to rebuild these things, so I put it all together again. And now it's printing it nicely, so that's very good. But in doing so I can do a little more rapid by have two things print at once. But definitely getting into that. So I've been enjoying that, but also now this also has got me to the point where I started looking at new printers again because they always catch my eye.
Oh, Wayne.
Yeah, so I may have pseudo kickstarted another 3D printer.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Yeah, so
That's the thing. If you sell all your other 3D printers, you could probably afford a new one.
well, but I want them all so they can all be printing in different ways. That's the thing.
Of course, that's sensible.
I actually want to set my first printer to be set for my oldest one to actually be like my hybrid. I've done a lot of things to it to actually make it so it's very good at like flexible filaments. And so it's kind of designed for that. And then my other two printers for kind of daily, every day. The reason I looked at this one is from, it's a company that's been out forever called M3D. And they've made some very little, like not the best quality printers, but cheap and small printers in the past. But they've now gone through and done a whole revamp of what they've been doing. Just get a CR10S5, as Kuro says. It does 500 by 500 by 500 millimeter, which is ridiculous. Most printers do about 200 in each direction. So that's more than double. That's 2.5 times bigger. This one I've looked at now is from M3D, and it's called the Crane 3D printer. It's not really M3D's printer, but it's using a lot of the stuff they've put together, because I think a Crane printer existed before. But you can check it out. They have it for purchase at Fit for Launch. But if you go to m3d.com, you can get the link to it. Specifically, what I looked at is they have several versions. And the one that interested me the most that I'm now willing to try to give a shot for is called the Quad. And they talk about all these new features that they've improved on it. And it's all aluminum frame, metal construction. It's got one of the ones where, kind of like my old R1s and such, in the way that it moves. But they have a brand new Duet 2 Maestro board, which is supposed to have a lot of new features on it and things like that. It's interesting, they didn't go for Wi-Fi at all, but it does have Ethernet connection to it. It's regular as you would with the 175 print head size for what kind of filament you're using. And it does a 214 by 230 display on it. It has all the stuff you normally want, 24 volts, so it heats faster, things like that. But the thing that was cool about this, and specifically between, there's the Bowden, the Dual, and the Quad versions of this. The Quad is named as such because it's designed to use 4 colors at once of different filament. And unlike a lot of other ones that do multicolor, this one is designed to blend the colors in the printer. And so it actually, they argue that they can do CMYK prints of up to 50,000 colors in a print. And what's nice about that is they have other tools, like, in fact, for the R2, R1, Robo supports one of the companies, and it's actually on my Amazon wish list, for a technique that basically does it externally, where it does 4 filaments and blends or kind of cuts them into different colors. But I think it still is even designed for just 4 colors, not blending them into individual color or blends of the color. But this one is supposed to do all the colors, and the cost of it, if you were to wait till it's, I don't know what the retail is going to be, but they have a few options for when you get it. The one I went to is the early adopter for the Quad, and for all of those features, which are equal to any printer I own, but now with color, $450, which is not insane.
Okay.
Considering
That's not too crazy.
Considering my R2, which is a great printer, was a $1,200 printer. And so this actually costs less than the adapter thing I wanted to get for my R1 or R2 that does some of the color things itself, which is like retail $750, and I think on sale for like $650 or something. So this is even cheaper than that and does exactly what I'm after. And so I won't get this till probably the end of the year, but it was something that was exciting to me to check out. And if you want to see more details on it for anyone, I'll put it in the chat as a link that anyone else can follow. But I did do that, and it's yikes. Like, hopefully I can continue to do 3D printing somewhat point where it'll not pay for itself, but lessen my cost and not feel as bad about it. We'll see. But yeah, so I did that as a thing. That's a thing. I've actually been looking, because a lot of the notes I'm putting in, I'm trying to put links that are like the Amazon links that if you guys buy from it, I get credit for, if anybody who goes through the show. So full disclosure, any of the links in there do the affiliate link. But I don't see one
God forbid
specifically.
that they lose no money, but we get a few pennies.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what it is. Let's see if it actually works for anything. But I was trying to find that for any of the things I reference just to say like, hey, it's not going to cost you anymore, but we'll at least get credit for it. So I've done that, and so if you see those links in the notes, just full disclosure, that's what it comes from. But yeah, so that printer, I'm just like, it looks so cool. So we'll see if, whenever I get that, I'll do follow up for people when I do. But so I've been doing that bits with 3D printing. I was also going to mention League of Legends, but we've taken care of that. And the last bit I was going to
more if you have anything personal about it.
Oh, it just in the sense that I've been doing the same thing, and unfortunately I've been failing consistently. I don't think I've won a single game since I started playing again in the last week. For various reasons, somewhat mine, somewhat just team comps that are just not going to win that mode. Where it's like, oh, we have no ranged. Awesome. Right? Things like that just are not the right characters for that mode. Are just, a lot of team things I've had where people wanted to go, we had an Aatrox in one of the games who just felt like he could go 1v3 the entire game. And he got away with it a couple times because, in the little survive that he has, he was able to dodge and get back. But so many times it just kept doing it and was like, ugh. Well, that sucks. So yeah, all of those kind of things. But then the other thing I was going to bring up, and Kuro's on, so he can, we may collude on this one, is that I think I have all of the main parts I need to build a real backup server in my home now. Due to several links that he sent me to kind of say, hey, maybe you should try this. I picked up a few pieces. So originally I had found a server, an old, 2100 board series dual processor Xeon board or Xeon mother whole server setup that came with like, I don't know how many slots in the front, 12 or something for little 2.5-inch drives if I want to run SAS or SATA drives on it, but that's very expensive. And so after I got the server, which could run all the software, I plan on running a FreeNAS version on there to kind of just expand storage. So I could have a large storage array in my server rack. Finding this out mostly because for people to know, for video and photo storage is things I create. It's amazing how quickly you get lots of data on your server. And from every photo shoot I do, I shoot a 32 gig card, and so if I fill it up, that's an extra 32 gigs on my drive, even before I edit and make the JPEGs of it. So that starts to add up quick. Jeez. Let alone videos that are all gigs and gigs big. So I have almost filled my 4 terabyte drive that is dedicated for photos with photos. But I have every photo I've ever taken essentially on there that's not garbage, in both RAW and edit. And so I've been wanting to expand.
That's crazy because I don't even keep my RAWs anymore. I used to. Did anything with them.
Well, so for me, it's both because I've had times where, for my RAWs, it's people who I've done photo shoots for before, or like weddings, or portraits, or senior pictures, things like that for event stuff. That I've had people come back and say, "Hey, do you still have those? I lost mine, and I've been able to reproduce them." The other thing I've done is I've come back on old photos of mine where I've learned better techniques, or I have better tools now in the software I use, and I've gone back and re-edited a few with my eye today. And I prefer the results I've done recently. And so I've had a couple that I've actually revisited some of my old edits through the techniques I've learned since. And so having those RAWs, I've been able to do everything still. And so I believe in keeping them all, but to do so, I have to expand storage. And same thing even with videos that I have, and to set up a proper Plex server and things like that. So I want to be able to build as large a storage array rated as I can, so I have redundant backup and can hot swap drives as needed. So to do that, I needed both the software and stuff to run it in server, which I had, but also an enclosure to fit all the 2 or 3.5-inch drives that are the most cost effective for storage, because you can get up to 12 terabyte drives now through that. And so my goal is to run a bunch of 10 terabytes for cost and storage kind of sizing. I think sweet spot there. Because the case I got, and this is recommended by Kuro, and I don't remember the name of it, but essentially turns into, it's a 15-bay case that has SAS controller connections through it, as well as then I got, because everyone says, even though that server board has built-on SAS controllers and RAID, to have dedicated RAID boards is really where it's at to be able to handle it. And so I also picked up some used RAID boards that are, SAS and 6 gig cards, so they can handle the normal bandwidth of any of the drives and connections. And so I've got all that in now, and so the case I got handles 15 drives, and the SAS boards I got, some of the pins are bent on this, but they were only like $30 used. These SAS 9201 boards, normally I want to say if you buy them new, they're about $130, but I found some old ones that were all of like $30. And so hopefully these all work together. The funny part is these are all the cheapest parts, getting the setup for it. The most expensive part is going to be the hard drives. Because
That's funny.
well, so to get part of the challenge is the amount of storage I'd like, because having 15 bays, I figure if I put 10 terabyte drives in all of those, raw storage that's 150 terabytes, but actual rated storage you'd lose some, and so I'm actually expecting closer to about 100 terabytes is what I would like to see overall, right? That would be nice. The challenge is for a good, NAS level drive, you're looking, even the cheap ones I'm seeing out there, and it depends on what rated drive you want. But like
Sure.
a Seagate Iron Wolf right now is 10 terabyte costs $315. And so if I were to put 10 of those in there, that by itself is $3,200 just for storage. And so
Okay, that's nuts.
yes, so that's where I have to now decide how I want to populate the server. And I already have a 5 terabyte drive sitting downstairs I was going to put in my old server just to start. I might do one array that's just like the 5 terabytes because they're cheaper, but there's still it's that cost effectiveness per size kind of thing, right? Because I can get a 5 terabyte drive for about $150-ish dollars.
Yep.
Versus the 300 and something. So it's a little it's almost exactly the price per terabyte or gigabyte or whatever. It's almost the same regardless. But it's more tenable to get like 4 or 5 of those. Because now
That
I'm
would make sense.
under
That's
a
what I would have
grand.
thought, yeah.
So we'll see how I do this. But I have all the parts necessary to start. Now I just got to figure out what am I really going to do with it. Do I really need 100 terabytes initially, or can I survive with an overall build out of about 60 or 80 terabytes after all said and done? And so we'll see. I don't know yet. And so I'm going to slowly start trying to piece things together and maybe find some really good sales. If anyone sees great sales on 10 terabyte hard drives, let me know. That'd be a time to pounce. So I am getting prepped for a server build. I have all the base parts I'd need, but that was one that was like, So, yes. So that's been the geek I've been involved with. I think we have a little bit of time that we can actually get into.
You're listening to Show X
That
on
is not
BT
what I
Technology,
said.
News and more. Today on Geekoscope.
So the problem being, it's one thing to hit play in the list, and I realize now that it just goes back to where it started, or where it was at in the list last, versus double-clicking on the side one, which tells it to go to specific. Uh-oh. But yeah, so my fault, but
Sorry.
anyhow. So on to news, as I was trying to do. I did have one thing I wanted to bring up from last week, and this was talking a little bit about E3. This one was called the Smotch Z, if this makes any sense to anybody. So what this is it's a handheld gaming PC. And
Okay.
yes. So
If they say so.
They have a demo video about it, but it's designed to supposedly be able to play AAA PC games natively in high resolution. Let's see, what details did they have? This came up originally as a Kickstarter, and let's see, they have a link for the news about it. So going to that site real quick to see what their newsroom says. But essentially, let's see, funded on press release. I want to get the actual specs of this thing because I watched the video and talked about it, but so it's supposed. Okay, so they raised over $740,000 via Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and so what they're saying is it will launch with an AMD Ryzen embedded V1000 processor and a Vega 8 graphics running simultaneously on Windows 10 and Linux. It says players will be able to go into this portable gaming, silky smooth frame rates, no additional fees. Let's see. It's supposed to have. You'll be able to connect via HDMI. You're supposedly be able to do it as a media center as well, capable of 4K playback externally, and be able to do things like internet, Skype calls, streaming videos, all that good stuff. Unfortunately, what I was trying to find is actual information about it, right? Other than the processor.
Impossible.
Give me more details. What's the resolution going to be? What's that going to be? And so that, admittedly, it looks like they're still a little shy on, although I guess if I go to the actual Kickstarter piece, that they might have more information. But I do have a link to the trailer that they did at E3, so I'll put that into the notes. But it was one of those where I'm just kind of interesting. They're trying to make a handheld PC, not just a device that allows you to, stream back or something like that, but an actual actual like PC in the hand. So I'll be
Yeah.
curious to see where that goes. And it's one of those that I just was kind of curious if people out there would find that interesting as well. I thought it was kind of cool to hear, but I'm really kind of concerned as to whether it's going to really do something or not. Or is this just a pipe dream? Is it really going to happen? I don't know. So throw that out there.
It's a
Curious
cool
what you
idea.
guys think.
It makes sense, right? I mean, phones are effectively the initial version of this, right? That already exists.
Yes. But it's just
we already
being truly more robust, because we always talk about the advantages you get from a true PC experience versus something that's been formed just for the console. Console has its advantages, mind you, being able to be specifically programmed and optimized for that platform. But being able to have like the true like PC flexibility and run any game and the potential of who knows what, I like that, right? I like that.
The actual OS and stuff, like an actual Windows machine or an actual Linux machine. That's cool.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know, but I am curious, and that was something I'd seen in E3, and just wondering if anyone else had caught that, or if it's just me and just kind of the idea of the, what could that mean? What could that be? So wanted to share that one. Beyond that, the other piece of news I want to bring up, because it's timely and hopefully for people who want to play and be a part of, as we were talking about these other games and stuff we play, Pokemon Go. They are doing a world event right now. And so with that, I wanted people to be aware that, yes, I want to go to this site. Please let me. That they are doing a worldwide Pokemon event right now in Pokemon Go that is allowing you to... Oh, gosh. Would you stop it? There. Stop freaking out. Oh, the sites that don't let you run an ad block.
Then what you do is use AdBlock to block the pop-up that tells you that.
Could be better about that. So, basically, this new event's called the Dortmund Safari Zone, and they're looking for a grand prize for it. But basically, they're saying that the first of 3 major Pokemon Go events is going on now. In Safari Zone in Dortmund, Germany, this is proving so popular that, surprise, it's crashing the game like it's the original Pokemon Go Fest 2017 all over again. It also, they're just saying if you are doing the event, careful, don't use incense, as it appears to be part of what crashes the game. But it's part of this month-long global research challenge where during the event, players are tasked with objectives both locally and at these events and globally to try to unlock prizes. The Dortmund crowd and Asia-Pacific region has already done their part. The Safari Zone attendees completed 50,000 research tasks between them, which has unlocked 3 times catch XP globally, so everyone's getting more XP if you're catching Pokemon. In Asia, players have already completed 5 million research tasks, which have made luck eggs last for 1 hour for everyone around the world. Now it's America's turn, or at least the Americas, so yes, copy, this includes you. If you live in North, South, or Central America and are just waking up now, it's time to get hunting and complete research tasks on your own. We are also required to complete 5 million tasks ourselves. In a game with 145 million active players, that should not be that difficult. Asia practically hit their goal in half an hour. If less than 5% of all the player base does 1 research task, we should hit these goals globally. So do your part today. If the Americas hit their goal, the bonus hatch, that's bonus hatch XP. So every egg you hatch, you'll get bonus XP. And if Europe and Africa hit theirs, it's bonus raid XP. So everybody gets bonuses. It helps everyone worldwide. So check these out. It says the ultimate goal of all of these objectives, that would be grand unlock of July 7th. That says they've already revealed despite players not hitting all the goals. Let's see, what did they say? If they all are met, it is the return of Articuno as a raid boss for a 3-hour window, which it looks like we have a good chance of getting there. And it says that it's possible that the Articunos will be shinies, that you can actually run into shiny ones. So check that out, everybody. If you play Pokemon Go, it is a great global event for everyone to participate in right now. So I wanted to throw that one out there for everyone. All right, Ken, do you have any news you would like to bring up and share with us this week?
Yeah, one of the big things that'll affect all Fortnite players was we were all very interested in the fact that there was this big rocket that was kind of getting built up. So basically, what happens is every week the one map that everybody plays is slowly updated, right? So every week they change something, they add a new town or they modify it in some way, usually in a way that kind of makes sense. Like so. At the start of the season, we had meteors that fell down and blew up a bunch of towns. And over the season, they've been getting rebuilt, and there's trees there, and these villains and superheroes have appeared, not literally, but their bases have, so you can like find these secret bases around the place. It's pretty cool, right? It's nice that they've got all these little things. And every week they've got new content, which is a really strange thing for a game. It's a really amazing experience.
Yeah, I did not know they did that. That's very cool.
Yeah, so it's a really absolutely amazing experience to have new content every single week. Even if it's just a little thing, like they'll add a new gun or they'll change the map around a little bit or something like that. Anyway, so what they've been doing recently is they had this. There's no storyline to Fortnite. However, as you complete the challenges that you can do when you progress through the game by playing your dailies and the likes, you can unlock certain things like loading screens. And there's these, I think there's 9 loading screens that you unlock throughout the game, which each of them show like some people sitting in a location on the map doing something, like sitting drinking tea or something. And in that area, there's this like you should be able to work out where that is by staring at the image for a little while and sort of working out where that is. And if you go there, you unlock something, gives you a little bit of XP, right? So there's a lot of these little secrets around the place as well, which is really cool. Nice. But there's also a storyline through these loading screens. And what it kind of hints at is that the superheroes and villains aren't actually real, right? They're not in the universe of Fortnite. They're actually a film crew, and they're filming something. So all these secret bases that popped up are actually for props, for films.
Okay.
Then these meteors hit, and an actual evil villain comes out of one of the meteors, and he takes over the faux enemy base, and the faux nuke that's there that looks like it's like a fake rocket, but then he makes it a real rocket. And so this week, the real rocket was getting lit off, and they actually made an announcement on when you log into the game saying like, I think it was like 2 p.m. on Saturday EST or something like that. Make sure you log in, because only once in the entire game this will happen. If you're in a game at that time, look up and watch what happens when the rocket goes off. So everybody was watching that. I did not see it, I have to admit. I did not see it.
Interesting.
There was a one-time only event. So what was seen to be first be a simple rocket turned into so much more. And they've got a sort of summation here. So as expected, the rocket launched from the evil lair and headed straight up into the sky. Soon after, a red laser touched down on Tilted Towers, which is the main giant city on the map. And the rocket returned to supposedly destroy the infamous town. Just before impact, so this is kind of a reference to before the meteors hit, there was this big, huge controversy because telescopes started spawning around the game, pointing at the sky, and you could see these meteors coming. And everybody kept saying, it was kind of like a meme. People kept saying like, "Oh, it's going to destroy Tilted. It's going to destroy Tilted." So it's kind of they're kind of doing this as a sort of joke reference to what happened before. So soon after the rocket launched and disappeared in the sky, a red laser touched down on Tilted Towers, and the rocket returned to supposedly destroy the infamous town. Just before impact, the rocket hit what looked like an invisible shield. The rocket vanished and reappeared a little distance away, where it began to move up out of control. At the end, the rocket shot back up to where it tore a large rip in the sky. So what's changed? For starters, the rocket's now obviously missing from the lair, but you can find the remains of the rocket up in a place called Anarchy Acres, which is like a farmland in the north.
Okay.
So not everybody got to enjoy the event. Minutes before the launch, players tried to log in and were left to wait in a queue long enough to miss the event entirely, which is no surprise, right? If they say you have to log in at this time to see it, there's 120 million players of this game. I bet a lot of them tried to log in. Even if you miss the event, you can still see the tear in the sky. So if you log in now, you'll see this big, like, weird tear in the sky. So we're only, I think, 1 or 2 weeks away from the next season. So I think this rip in the sky is going to be a reference to what the theme for the next season is going to be. This one being the theme of sort of aliens mixed with superhero through the film stuff, right? So I think this rip in the sky is going to probably maybe bring some alternate reality or different dimensional. Who knows, right? It's going to be interesting to see what comes from it. It's a very unique feel for this game for everybody to be experiencing this story progressing 1 week at a time and seeing what's going to happen next. And that's one of the biggest things that kills a game like this. And that's what I said at the very beginning. I don't know if Fortnite will last because, you know, it's one map. You play it 50 times and you feel like, okay, I've kind of got the gist of it. I get it. I'm kind of done. But it's the fact that they have these really interesting dailies, reward schemes for playing every day, a little bit every day. And they have this sort of ongoing features being added and these kind of storyline almost like events that you feel kind of part of. So I'm really enjoying that. I think it's a really
Nice.
cool thing they're doing. And I think it's really fun. And that's kind of what I wanted to mention. That's what I wanted to bring up.
No, that's cool. And I'm going to include in the notes a article I found on TheVerge.com talking about this, where they kind of walk through for those who didn't get to experience it. And there are some videos apparently out there on YouTube where you can watch it itself. And so it does sound really cool. It's not something I actually realized happened in the game that is intriguing enough to make me kind of want to participate more and to know more about it. So thank you for bringing that up. Those are the kind of things that I find quite interesting, just because knowing that people are doing stuff to keep people interested. So yeah, that is actually very cool, and I will also link that for everyone in the notes here or on the chat right now, so you can play along. But if you want to read more about the event,
I'm actually watching a video now, and it's funny watching all the players stuff. Of course,
yeah, going off.
People are trying to like fly into the damn rocket while
that's
it's launching.
funny.
It's fun.
I can imagine that. I can see. Yeah, that's exactly what gamers would do. Like,
Yeah.
Did
Well, let's shoot it.
Did they think about this? Let's try. Well, they
must have had to do all that bug testing. Imagine somebody destroyed it by mistake.
Well, so it goes back, right? I'm happy to see gamers try to do things like that because it goes back to, I always think of the famous instance in Ultima Online where the person that came in and killed Lord British.
I don't know about this.
Oh god, it's so good. It's a classic thing. I know I brought it up back in the day. Let's see, Lord British dies. And so, where was it original? But, oh, that's not what it is. Darn it. This would be Ultima. But essentially what a person did is Lord British was coming out, so Richard Garrett came out and was doing a presentation in game up on in the castle, up on the walls with guards and stuff around him, and was doing this whole thing. And then somebody figured out, I don't know if it was a loophole in it or something like that. Let's see if it says it in here. Let's say, but essentially what he did is, while I was out there, someone noticed that a mode had been changed on him because normally his avatar would be indestructible, like couldn't be attacked, couldn't be killed, and somehow he had been left with being vulnerable, essentially. And so somebody in the audience, and it's a great story to go find, there's links out about it, and I may be able to find an actual one that talks to it, The Death of Lord British, that might be the one. So I'll see if I can find the actual YouTube link, and if so, I'll include it in the notes. But essentially this guy went in and he saw that, and he did some looting of the people in the audience that were coming to hear him talk. And when they did that, he was able to find, I don't know what the actual potion or like some scrolls, potions, things like that, but between it all, he was able to get some stuff together that actually summoned in some demons and things like that. Or something else, whatever it was, something got summoned in, but it essentially killed Lord British. Attacked, killed, and then he actually absconded. He took off, and I think survived the thing. Because once Lord British died, and there's a famous thing where it shows like the actual verbiage, right? Lord British has died, or something like that. And he took off, but then the guards and such, because they're all devs, right? Summoned in even bigger, like everything they possibly could that just wiped everyone that was there. Like killed everyone there.
Okay.
Right? It was the reaction, like these ultra high level stuff, and it was just great to kind of see that somebody had broke the game in a way, had found a way to do something the devs hadn't really accounted for, and killed Lord British in game. Like I said, there's a whole story behind it. If you want, go look it up. But I'll see if I can find a video that actually does speak to it. So that was great. But yeah, anyhow. So with that, I think we're basically getting towards the end of the show today. And so I wanted to give chance to make sure we do all of our shout-outs and things as we need to. So if you'd be so kind, Ken, could you tell everyone where to follow us?
I'll go shout out to Tank because he has been a good supporter of the show and he gives morale support and moral support every single week. So thank you, Tank. I'd like to go shout out to Brutus, who also is giving great support today by being very cute and distracting and barking whenever anybody goes past the room, which is a great, very useful thing during a podcast. So thank you to Brutus for that as well. Stop licking each other. You're brothers. That's weird. Check us out on twitter.com/showx to check out the official show Twitter, twitter.com/DocDead for Mr. Wayne here, and twitter.com/GoHex for myself. Check us out on Reddit. That's where we do our forum stuff now. Reddit.com/r/showx. Subscribe, try to post, let me know if it works or not. If it's not working, tell me via Twitter so that I can do something about it and then try to fix it. Because so far still nobody's posted. So please let me know. I need to find out. I put a lot of effort in there, guys. I want to know if it's paid off. You can check us out on Facebook, search for ShowX, and like us there, and then you'll get all the memes that I find that are interesting and game related or tech related or whatever. I share there. I share all of them there. It's because I don't have any friends, so that's where they go. So go check them out. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/ShowX. All the money there goes only into show funds and, for example, hardware and software and stuff like that. So please do donate there so you can help with the show if you like us. It is appreciated. Thank you very much for hosting us today, sir. And thank you for continually improving the show technically. You know, you're always adding in a little bit extra, trying new things out and trying to make it work better. So we appreciate that.
You mean trying to do the things for the show, and yes.
Their effort is there, and it's clearly working.
Sometimes. We'll see. Hopefully it does better and better. But yes, no, I try. I'd like to keep it all fresh and good for everyone out there so that ShowX is something you want to come back to. And I always look forward to any criticisms or responses, things back. Just email the show at showx@vtwproductions.com so that we can make sure we make the right show for you. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. I got to get out of here. The dogs and pups say bye too. But have a good week, and we look forward to catching you guys again next week. So let me try to click all the buttons again, and I'll say bye, everybody.
Goodbye. See you next zombie. Good night.